In at 10, HYENA. HYENA, first introduced in Legends of the Dark Claw #1 from 1996, is a combination of DC's The Joker and Marvel's Sabretooth. He is the archenemy of Darkclaw, a combination of DC's Batman and Marvel's Wolverine. His real name is Creed Harley Quinn. The Canadian government initiated the Weapon X project. Logan and Quinn of the RCAF were both accepted as candidates for the project, along with 4 other volunteers. Logan's latent metamutant healing factor kicks in, which allows him to survive the adamantium crafting process, and Creed survives as well, but becomes a remorseless killing machine, exactly what the project was hoping for. Creed's sanity does not fare as well, and he eventually goes rogue, because of course he's going to. And Indestructible, known as adamantium, was also bonded to Creed's skeleton as well as Logan's, and he was given claws made of the same substance. Unlike Darkclaw, however, Creed was physically deformed as a result of the experiment and went insane. Project X also triggered metamutant abilities in Creed, who became known as HYENA. HYENA, also known as the Cackling Canine, will not stop his maniacal grinning until his arch-nemesis Darkclaw is destroyed. He also has a gang called the Pack, which is actually kinda cute, but still terrifying. And at 9, Martha Wayne. When Barry Allen altered the timeline so that his mother lived, a lot changed, along with Martha Wayne. She had initially been the mother to Bruce Wayne, who would have become Batman when she was killed in the alleyway by Joe Chill, but Barry's mom surviving somehow resulted in her and her husband, Thomas Wayne, surviving Joe Chill's fateful ambush, but their son dying as a result. Butterfly effect, I guess. This ultimately broke her, driving her completely insane from grief and having her adopt the identity of the Joker, as well as committing various crimes in Gotham, also resulting in Thomas becoming a vigilante known as Batman in an attempt to stop her. By the time of the Flashpoint saga, she had kidnapped the twin sons of Harvey Dent without leaving a ransom note, and then, at her hideout in Wayne Manor, manipulated Commissioner Gordon into shooting the daughter by dressing her up in a Joker outfit, and then murdered the Commissioner. Eventually, Batman arrived, and she had proceeded to bludgeon her former husband with a hammer, an action that Batman willingly endured for a chance at getting a glimpse of the remaining psyche of his former wife. Ultimately, he managed to temporarily get through to her and revealed that they may have a chance of actually undoing the events that happened, although it may result in her deaths. She accepted though, because she wanted her son to live, but apparently not become Batman. And at 8, Suicide Squad. The Joker is an infamously extreme and formidable psychopathic crime lord in Gotham City in this movie, being at the very top of the city's criminal underworld, greatly feared by all those other crime bosses and criminals. Though he is devoid of empathy or pity for anybody taking part in his wicked schemes, either by intimidation or fraud, the Joker used to adore his on-again, off-again girlfriend and partner in crime Harley Quinn, doing his utmost to rescue her from Task Force X and the clutches of Amanda Waller, with eventual success. I mean, like, he was in the movie for like 5 minutes total, but like, it's better than nothing, right? For unknown reasons though, he later broke up with Harley, leaving her on her own and the target of many of his enemies. This version from the DCEU was certainly a darker and more brutal Joker than what we've been seeing in the comics now, not relying on Batman and being more willing to kill like he was in the golden age of comics, much along the lines of the 3 Joker revelation from the Mobius chair, since this version also killed Robin in the DCEU prior to the events of the movie. However, some also believe that the Joker is a mentally unstable version of Robin, which could be revealed to be true, but I don't know if they're actually going to reveal it and just let it be a theory. And yes, I was doing this to show the mask multiple times. And at 7, Emperor Joker. Emperor Joker was the form the Joker took after tricking Mr. Mxyzptlk into donating 99.99% of his powers to the Joker. He gave him 99.99% of his powers accidentally. As a direct result, he became near omnipotent and created a hellish world in his own image. At some point, the imp from the 5th dimension, Mr. Mxyzptlk, attempted to see what a member of the regular realm would do with his power and selected the Joker. He intended on only donating 1% of his power to the Joker, but the Mad Clown tricked him into revealing his true name and thus ended up gaining 99.99% of the powers, and proceeded to transform existence within 69 seconds. Nice. Into a realm made in his own image, which was a twisted caricature, and with everyone stuck in a loop. Emperor Joker continually tortured and killed Batman every single day, only to bring him back to life and do it all over again. As could be expected, Emperor Joker took pride in these particular killings due to the unique relationship the 2 characters continued to share. Although this relationship is also the Joker's undoing, since he was still defined by being the Batman's antagonist, and he was beaten by a dog of all things. Okay, well, it was Superman as a dog, but still. Joker with near absolute power? No thanks. And at 6, Batman Two-Faces. Batman Two-Faces is the DC equivalent to the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde story, where ironically, Harvey Dent, also known as Two-Face, isn't the one with the Hyde affliction, but rather Batman himself is. It's the year 1886. Bruce Wayne is organizing a gala to exhibit the Twilight Orchid, a rare flower with unique characteristics. During the day, the flower is exquisitely colored and perfumed and attracts a large amount of insects. At night, however, it turns into a weed, attracting only pests. I know a few people like that. Miss Pamela Isley, Bruce Wayne, Commissioner Gordon, and many of Gotham's finest attend the gala where Two-Face storms in and steals the flower. Bruce reveals that he had hoped to actually create a potion derived from the flower, which was retrieved from Miss Isley's dead hands. A potion which would cure Two-Face from his dual personality. Finalizing the potion, Bruce tests it on himself. He suddenly develops superhuman strength, agility, and a new sense of courage and purpose. He puts together a costume and sets off to battle crime on Two-Face's terms. However, this potion didn't only give him powers, it gave him another personality. The personality of the Joker. Yeah, that's right. In Batman Two-Faces, Bruce Wayne is the Joker, which is pretty frightening for sure. Halfway through into number 5, Batman BLOODSTORM. At one point, Gotham City was attacked by a group of vampires led by Dracula. However, the vampires were defeated by Batman, who had become part vampire in the struggle. The Joker later lured the surviving vampires out of their underground lair and convinced them to allow him to be their new leader. The vampires accepted, and the Joker appointed a vampire named Creech to be his second in command. The Joker and his new gang then set out to conquer Gotham's underworld. Their first target was Cardona. The vampires ambushed Cardona and his thugs at their hideout, drank their blood, and transformed them into Night Stalkers like themselves. But yeah, you heard that right. The Joker of Earth 43 is Batman's archenemy, and a non-vampire leading a pack of vampires through fear. The ability to lead a group of vampires through fear is absolutely nuts, because like in every incarnation, vampires aren't really afraid of anything, aside from maybe other vampires or like steaks. Like nice medium steaks. That was a bad joke. You know what I mean, right? Like this is, how crazy is this version of the Joker to try to do that? I don't know. Like holy damn, or I guess unholy damn. Let's go on. And at 4, Dark Knight Returns. Like most incarnations, this Joker is a psychopathic mass murderer who is Batman's archenemy. Following Batman's retirement though, he gets confined to Arkham Asylum and falls into a catatonic state. But when Batman returns 10 years later, he comes back as well for a final showdown with the Dark Knight. It's unknown how he knows that he's back, but he just wakes up. The final showdown between the two ends in the Tunnel of Love, in which Joker hysterically stabs Batman in the stomach several times. But mid-stab, Batman instinctively breaks the Joker's neck just enough to paralyze him, but not kill him. Joker encourages Batman to finish him off, but Batman won't do it. So the Joker then finally says, "See you in hell," before, in a last act of revenge against his enemy, twists his own neck just far enough to kill himself, and framing his enemy for his own murder. Isn't that wonderful? That's freaking nuts. Who snaps their own neck to frame a guy? Okay? This is one of the freakiest scenes in all of comics. Like, what the living hell? And at 3, A Serious House. In the world of Arkham Asylum, a serious house on a serious Earth, the inmates of Arkham Asylum have taken over and seized control of the staff. They're willing to release the hostages, but only if their one demand is met. Batman must be turned over to them and become one of their own. Commissioner Gordon informs Batman that the patients of Arkham Asylum have taken over the building and will kill the staff unless Batman agrees to meet with them, and the patients are of course led by the Joker, who kills a guard to spur Batman to obey his wishes. Two-Face meanwhile has degenerated even further into madness, and Batman is forced into a game of hide and seek and told he has 1 hour to make his way through the maze-like corridors of Arkham and find a way out before his old foes are sent after him. Yep, that's... yeah. The fact that Joker is just leading a whole gang of prisoners who have taken over Arkham is absolutely insane, and then the art style of this comic makes it one of the freakiest depictions of the Joker to date. Like, you've been seeing it, it's nuts. Penultimately, in at number 2, The Batman Who Laughs. The story of Batman of Earth 22 was not much different from that of any other version of the Caped Crusader. When he was a boy, Bruce Wayne watched his parents get murdered in an alley, vowing vengeance against crime. So he trained for years and became the hero Batman, fighting supervillains in Gotham City. Everything went sideways though when Joker started a killing spree across Gotham. The clown had discovered that he was dying from the same chemicals that had turned him into what he was, and wanted to make everyone die with him. He killed all of Batman's enemies, including the Penguin, Catwoman, Killer Croc, the ventriloquist, a lot. Joker also killed Commissioner Gordon, who accidentally sprung an acid trap on his notebook and it melted his face off. After bombing a hospital and recreating the scene of Bruce's parents killing in front of him multiple times, Batman lost control and broke the Joker's neck. Unbeknownst to Batman though, the Joker exhaled a toxin contained in his heart, which infected anyone close to him if he died. In this case, it was Batman. This caused him to snap and basically become the new Joker, taking over Earth 32 and later on, gaining cosmic power. Yeah, cosmic power. Joker. But also Batman. No thanks. And finally, in at number 1, Death of the Family. When the Joker became obsessed over destroying the Bat family, he decided to arrange for his face to be surgically removed. According to the Joker, he did this to symbolize that even without his mask, he was still the Joker, whereas Batman, Robin, and Batgirl's identities were only mask deep. To see this through, Joker arranged for the serial killer known as the Dollmaker to remove his face surgically in Arkham Asylum. The Dollmaker sent his, son to do the procedure though, only for the Joker to kill him by tearing out his throat with his teeth. Dollmaker later went on to actually remove his face, since Joker refused to do it any other way, but the two actually arranged to celebrate his rebirth before leaving the clown's face on the cell wall for Batman to find. Joker would later use straps, clips, and pins to retrofit the flesh back onto his face in a form of mask, which he wore over his now exposed tendons, hiding the way he looked, because honestly that might have been a little too much. Joker would also remain in this mask for the remainder of his plan to destroy the Bat family, a mission which ended in a dinner party in the Batcave. And I think it's fairly obvious why this is number 1. Even without cosmic power, a man getting his face removed only to turn it into a mask to wear it again? No thank you. Not to mention that this is also the face that Joker's daughter ends up wearing, I'm pretty sure. So, no.
And on our list, the Red Hood from Batman the Brave and the Bold. In the episode Deep Cover for Batman, this version of the Joker exists on Earth 23 and sports, well, a red hood. Although his face is mostly obscured, we do catch a glimpse of a few features that can basically confirm that the Joker is under the hood. His trademark grin, pale skin, and a bit of green hair show that this Joker is actually supporting Batman in the fight against evil. After fighting off some bad guys, Red Hood Joker actually thanks Batman and hopes he can return the favor. Sure enough, in the very next episode, Game Over for Owlman, they team up and defeat Owlman, who had previously impersonated Batman and ruined his reputation. This instance with the Red Hood proves that if Batman and the Joker could find a common enemy, they might be able to keep fighting crime together and maybe even bring the Joker out of his insanity. But we all know that this isn't always the case with the Joker, just in this list. Okay, 9th on our list goes to John Doe Joker from Batman the Telltale series. In this storyline, Batman is actually committed to Arkham Asylum after being drugged and influenced to attack Oswald Cobblepot. There he runs into a couple pretty bad prison inmates who you can bet were imprisoned by Batman himself. So who saves him from this encounter? A sympathetic, insecure version of Joker known as John Doe. What's cool about this Joker is that since he's appearing in a Telltale series, you get to control if this version of the Joker stays good or not. As we all know, most interpretations of the Joker show an outcast who feels slighted or abandoned in some way by society. So in this storyline, this Joker, although initially good, can go dark real fast if you choose to treat him poorly. If you choose to treat him like a friend and trust him throughout the game, he'll eventually help to take down the agency, putting his life on the line in the process. But if you choose to treat him like a tool to get what you need, he will pick up on it and start to adopt homicidal tendencies. Man, this dude is sensitive. 8th on our list is from a Batman Captain America crossover, where this version of the Joker teams up with Red Skull. I know, not very heroic yet, but just wait. In a page that has become something of a meme in comic book culture, the Joker is shown learning that Red Skull is actually, in fact, a Nazi. And when Red Skull tries to equate Nazism to Joker's own evil ways, the Joker actually says, "I may be a criminal lunatic, but I'm an American criminal lunatic." He then sprays Red Skull with some kind of green poof in an attempt to kill him. Later in the comic, the Joker actively seeks out to kill Red Skull, stating that he's actually planning on helping Batman put him in a cell for the rest of his life. So yeah, Although this heroic version of Joker isn't necessarily an alternate version of the supervillain, he is an iteration of the Joker that draws a line in the sand on his own limits to what is too evil, even for the crazed clown prince himself. Okay, 7th on our list goes to the Joker's Wild Jokers. Yes, that's plural. For those of you who aren't already familiar with Tangent Comics' Joker's Wild, this storyline features a modern version of reporter Lori Lamaris, who fights crime with her 2 other Joker teammates, student Mary Marvel and entrepreneur Christy Xanadu. These 3 Jokers are up against a big foe in this storyline on Earth 9, facing off against an evil tyrant Superman. So yes, these versions of the Joker are actively seeking out evil and fighting against it. Although it doesn't turn out so well when the tyrant Superman ends up torturing and eventually killing Mary. Christie's whereabouts remain unknown and Lori's in prison for 10 years. When she gets out, she decides not to take up the Joker costume again and instead continues under the identity of Manhunter. But for that brief period, the world was introduced to one of the most unique, heroic alternate versions of Joker on our list, and we're better off for it. At number 6, we go to Earth 3. First appearing in countdown number 32, Jackie, a struggling stand-up comedian, eventually assumes the title of the Jokester and becomes known as something of a hero to Gotham. Much like other versions of Joker, Jackie has been bullied his whole life and is getting sick of it. So when Jackie witnesses Owlman kill the owner of the Last Laugh comedy club, he decides enough is enough. With Harley Quinn as his manager, he changes his act to focus on ridiculing Owlman. By doing this, he becomes a kind of hero to Gotham, which had also become kind of tired of Owlman's tyranny. But only when Harley Quinn is killed and Jackie's mouth is sliced open in the classic Joker way, he assumes the identity of the Jokester. Jackie, aka the Jokester, although having lost all of his sanity, still dedicates his life to ridiculing and humiliating Owlman. Owlman is a pretty brutish vigilante assuming a role on Earth 3 as a supervillain, so the Jokester's efforts are absolutely known as being heroic. And that's why he belongs on our list. Okay, number 5. This is a weird one. In this storyline, a version of Joker is set out to kill an evil version of Batman, who was created by an evil Joker in a big battle, but that's not the Joker we're talking about. In this unorthodox story of good versus evil, this evil Batman, known as the Bruce, basically has this religious event called the Night of Blood, where he challenges anyone to try and kill him to take on the new role of Batman. And a guy named Joe Collins, who's the leader of a resistance against the Bruce, is brainwashed and becomes the new Joker. Stay with me. So this version of the Joker is heroic because he wants to take down the evil Batman. But what really brings home the heroic aspect to this version of Joker is when he finds Bruce Wayne's Batman costume and sets out, dressed as Batman, to defeat evil Batman. So it becomes Batman under the influence of an evil Joker facing off against a good Joker posing as Batman. I told you it was strange. Number 4, we've got the Joker from Superman Distant Fires. In this universe, a nuclear holocaust has killed off most of the population of Earth, killing many superheroes and supervillains, leaving any survivors without superpowers. One of the sole survivors is Clark Kent, who eventually finds a jungle refuge where a few others have survived, including Wonder Woman, a one-legged Flash, and Joker. What's interesting about this version of the Joker is that the nuclear holocaust was so devastating that it rendered him sane. That and the fact that he'd gone years without Bruce Wayne as his nemesis after Bruce was killed in the nuclear event. I guess in a universe without any good, the evil finds a way to balance itself out. Either way, I think this storyline gets the point across. A nuclear holocaust would be so bad that it would turn Joker good. So let's avoid that. At number 3, we have the Joker from Batman R.I.P. This Joker is not quite as cut and dry heroic as the others so far on this list, but he definitely deserves a spot on the list nonetheless. With the threat of criminal organization the Black Glove looming, the Joker and Batman have a private meeting where the Joker actually warns Batman of the Black Glove's intentions of killing Wayne. What makes this Joker heroic isn't that he's no longer a threat to Batman, but instead that he finds himself with a common enemy to Bruce Wayne. When a member of the Black Glove approaches the Joker to join them, he decides to kill them instead. And not only this, but he places a bet in that moment that Batman will actually rise up and destroy the criminal organization. Although after this, Joker is sort of back to his usual shenanigans as a side threat in this storyline. But For that time being, he was actually helping Batman. Alright, we're almost there. At number 2, we've got another one of these situations where Batman and Joker find themselves with a common enemy, the Batman who laughs. Sort of a self-explanatory name, really. This evil version of Batman, sort of a Batman-Joker hybrid, comes from the Dark Multiverse and appears in Dark Knight's Metal. When this evil Batman comes from another dimension, he brings with him the philosophy that Batman's approach is too soft and won't be enough to stop crime altogether. So what does he do? Yep, he gets carried away and kills people, which is something Batman can't stand for, of course. But with this Batman who laughs being so unpredictable and volatile, he's proving to be a worthy foe to Batman, who has to approach the Joker for help in taking him down. The Joker's help proves to be worthwhile because since his own actions are equally unpredictable and volatile, he's also able to successfully take down the Batman who laughs, solidifying heroic status, at least for that moment in time. Once again, I'm pretty sure the next day he woke up and chose violence against Gotham again, but that's just him, right? Unpredictable. Okay, finally number 1. The spot at the top of our list goes to the Joker from White Knight. Known as Jack Napier in this storyline, this version of the Joker belongs at the top of our list because he has fully gained sanity and reformed into a functioning part of society. What caused this is suggested to have been a controversial run-in with Batman, who beats the Joker up so badly that witnesses start to think Batman might have gone too far. On top of beating him up, he also force feeds him a full bottle of pills that the Joker had pulled out himself. Gotham becomes divided on whether or not Batman had acted out of character, and after Jack Napier recovers from his injuries, his intellect is at an all-time high, and it appears as though he's completely changed for the better, possibly because of the pills. Jack even goes as far as giving a heroic speech saying Gotham deserves more than the Joker, and makes moves to actually indict the Gotham police force for conspiring with Batman, someone Jack now sees as a threat to functioning society. Whether you think the Joker deserves redemption or not, this interpretation of the Joker is the biggest departure from the original villainous Joker that we normally see. His clean look, his reputable character, takes the character and ultimately does a great job of making us stop and think what it is that makes the original Joker what he is.
Number 10, Jared Leto. While Jared Leto's version of the Joker in Suicide Squad may not have been the most well received, the fact remains that Jared Leto is widely regarded to be a pretty attractive man. His version of the Joker came off as being a very manic millennial gangster and was for most a little too manic. But Leto's Joker should get some bonus points for giving us a very tattooed up version of this villain. At the very least, to most, tattoos are considered pretty sexy. And fans of Jared Leto likely still can't see him as anything but the lovable, somewhat of a jerk, illiterate teen heartthrob that was Jordan Catalano. Jordan Catalano, although pretty terrible, was pretty baby. Number 9, Jokester. This version of Joker comes to us from Earth 3. He is actually a good guy, which is part of what adds to his appeal. This version of the Joker was known by the name Jackie. He was an underdog and struggling comedian who stood up to the corrupt vigilante Owlman. Taking a stand against Owlman, who Jackie actually knew to be a murderer, he made him the target of the jokes in his comedy act. The police and people of Gotham saw Jackie as a sort of hero for standing up to Owlman, but his heroism came at a cost. Owlman got revenge by giving Jackie a Glasgow smile and killing his manager Harley Quinn. This drove Jackie insane, making him only have eyes for destroying Owlman and his sidekick Talon. Number 8, DC Bombshells. In the world of DC Bombshells, Joker is often referred to by Harley as Mr. J. Mr. J was Harley's ex-lover who Harley left after she felt he was changing for the worse due to alcoholism and an obsession with potions. For this, however, the two were very happy together, surviving the Great Depression through becoming thieves. Sort of a Bonnie and Clyde type vibe. They took from the rich and even sometimes helped out others with the wealth that they stole. And it's for this less harmful and more originally lovable side of this alternate that we can consider him somewhat hot. Number 7, Heath Ledger. Heath's take on the Joker was not only one of the best cinematic interpretations, but was also one of the hottest. While the brilliant makeup Ledger wore made him look more rough, whose look was created by the makeup artist genius that is John Caglione Jr., the fact remains that under the makeup was Heath Ledger's gorgeous face. But Ledger's reputation as a charming, gorgeous man aside, there was something super sexy about the motives of this version of the Joker, the character itself. Joker saw himself as less of a villain and more of an agent of chaos. And while as human beings we generally prefer for our surroundings to be stable, reliable, and somewhat static, it is for that same reason that the idea of anarchy and chaos often draws us in. There was something beautiful, if not deranged, about the way Ledger and Nolan's Joker perceived the world and his role in it. Number 6. All-Star Joker. The Joker of Earth 31 from All-Star Batman and Robin and The Dark Knight Returns is just super jacked. What's even crazier is later on in his story when we see him, this version of the Joker is meant to be in his 50s, and yet he still looks super ripped. This version of the Joker also has a giant dragon tattoo on his back that extends onto his bicep. What can I say? I'm a sucker for some nice tattoos. And while this Joker is still positively insane, although he might have you believe otherwise, and evil, he still somehow manages to appear to be in great shape physically. Number 5. White Knight. In the White Knight reality, it ends up being Joker who becomes the hero. After being cured of his insanity, he decides Batman has gone too far, is also deranged, and needs to be stopped. This version of the Joker immediately returns to his Harley to make up for years of abuse and finally be the stand-up guy that she deserved the whole time, only to find out she isn't even really Harley Quinn, but an imposter. His abuse had driven the real Harley Quinn away years ago, but the real Harley does return to him, and together the two try to fix their relationship, transforming it into a healthier one. Harley agrees to help Jack Napier, the former Joker, and Jack resists his darker thoughts, keeping them at bay with medication and Harley's support. There is something both sweet and endearing about seeing this journey where Jack works to get better and actually become a hero of sorts that draws you in. Number 4. HARLEEN. I can't say this enough. If you have not read this book, you really need to read it. It really is a great dive into how Harley got pulled in by the dark and twisted villain that is the Joker, by this obsession with fixing him and then just kind of accepting him for the truly broken person and vile criminal that he is. The attraction to Joker in this book is how he's drawn. He's definitely more handsome than usual, but psychologically it's all about that draw to the dark, broken side of people and of ourselves, and the rush of adrenaline we feel both when we are falling in love, but also when we are in danger, and how being addicted to that rush can actually blur the lines between those two very different experiences. The Joker is still evil here, he's still a bad guy, but you can see why Dr. Harleen Quinzel falls for him. It's still very alarming, but it's also kind of hot. Number 3. Jokers. On Earth 9, the Joker persona was actually shared by 3 women: Mary Marvel, Lori Lamaris, and Christy Xanadu, Earth 9's Madame Xanadu. On this Earth, the Jokers were an anachronistic vigilante group operating under one name and identity, the Joker. They were part of a group who tried to take down Superman after he had become the most powerful superhero on Earth and had outlawed all other vigilantes. Unfortunately, Superman caught Mary Marvel and managed to use her mind to discover the other identities of the Joker. All 3 of these ladies are attractive, powerful women, and the fact that their Joker was an anachronistic hero just adds to their appeal. Earth 9 is the alternate universe belonging to the DC imprint Tangent Comics. Number 2. Bianca Steeplechase. This version of the Joker comes to us from the Thrill Killer series, the alternate Earth 37. In this reality, Joker is a woman and a criminal known as Bianca Steeplechase. While still being quite evil, this version of the Joker seems to be much kinder to her Harley Quinn, has striking green eyes that are much more alluring than the main continuity's green peepers, and loves to wear low-cut or dramatically unbuttoned shirts. Once you see this version of the Joker, you'll never look at the main continuity one the same way again. Number 1. Gotham. In Gotham, we have 2 Jokers, twin brothers known as Jeremiah and Jerome Velasca. Originally, it seemed that the deranged and evil brother Jerome was set up to become the Joker in the show. Jeremiah had escaped his brother and run off to the circus, changing his name to hide from him. He claimed that Jeremiah had tortured and tormented him when they were both children, but in the end, it was revealed that this may have been less than true. After his brother's death, Jeremiah was exposed to laughing venom that unleashed his own inner madness, and allowed him to begin his own transformation into the Joker. Since then, Jeremiah has been exposed to that famous vat of Ace chemicals, which left him severely disfigured and scarred. But prior to this change in his appearance, both he and his identical brother were fairly handsome, and originally appeared to be the most attractive live-action depiction of the Joker we've seen yet. Both characters are of course played by the same actor on Gotham, the talented Cameron Monaghan. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. Who are some of your favorite Joker alternates? What is your favorite Batman story outside of the main continuity? Which Batman villains do you think are the hottest? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos. Top 10 Hottest Alternate Female Superheroes Part 3. Black Phoenix comments, Amanda looks just like the Imagine Universe Catwoman here. Oh, thank you. I actually love that version of Catwoman's outfit. LR Diaz ponders, I wonder if DC had a swimsuit special. I'd love to see that. DC did not, alas, but they did have a page that kind of looks like it could be part of one in Justice League of Amazons. And DC has usually had more adult content in general in comparison to Marvel. I mean, DC's Black Label did originally give us a panel of a completely nude Batman, though of course they've reined in that adult content a bit since.